Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Leo Lounge. I'm your host, Mark Sheffield, founder and developer of Leo Mind and Body. Here on the Leo Lounge, we have conversations with people living with chronic illnesses, disabilities, and mental health conditions. Every guest has a different story, but they all share one thing in common: a desire to help others feel less alone. Today's guest is Hailey. Hailey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for letting me be here. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited to have you. Now, before we dive into your health journey, I'd love everyone to get to know you. So tell us a little about yourself. Who is Hailey outside of doctor's appointments and social media?
Outside of doctor's appointments, I'm probably in comfy clothes playing video games or with my siblings. I'm the oldest of 7, so I love all of them dearly and I love to be around them, especially my 2-year-old little sister. I watch her a lot, so I get the pleasure of being around her a lot, which is really nice. And then I have like my own press-on business, which I love it to work on. I make reusable press-ons. I cannot wear regular nails, so I decided to do that. And so I'm usually either doing something of that nature.
What
Yeah,
kind of video games do you play?
I'm a big Fortnite person. I do play Fortnite a lot, with my siblings and my friends, and then I just got into Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Love that so far. It went on sale, so I was like, "Might as well," and it's been good so far.
Now, you said you're the oldest of 8 siblings. That must be like a full-time job on its own. What was it
Yeah.
like growing up in such a big family?
It was very chaotic. So all of my siblings and I did not live together, but we have all gotten together multiple times and it's always utter chaos because there is 6 boys and then my little sister and me. So for the longest time, it's just been me as the only girl. So it's been very chaotic, to say the least.
Can't even imagine that. Must be how my mom feels with me and my 2 brothers when we were growing up. Now, you also mentioned that you've been with your girlfriend for 5 years. Having someone by your side through so many life changes must be so meaningful to you. So, what has that support meant to you?
It's honestly meant everything. I've had not the best luck in relationships. I think a lot of people that are chronically ill or disabled can say that a lot of people aren't as caring and empathetic as they could or should be. So it's meant everything. I mean, she recently came with me. I was very anxious. My primary care left the state, and she came with me to my new primary care appointment. And I was like shaking, anxious because going to a new doctor can be so incredibly overwhelming, especially if you're sick. And then like, I got new diagnoses and she's been there for me through, like, out all of that, which is just it's just meant everything to me to have somebody that isn't always like, "Let me fix it," but is like, "Let me hold your hand while you go through this really hard stuff together and know that I'm always gonna be by your side through it." Like, that just means everything.
It's so important to have that support system, especially going to new doctors is tough. Having to give a full history when you see a new doctor, rehash everything that you've gone through, everything you've done, every treatment, it's exhausting. I mean, that's kind of my goal with Leo is to help a little bit with that,
Mhm.
to make it a little simpler when you see a new doctor, to just hand over a sheet to them and be like, here you go. This is
Yeah.
my prior medical history, everything that's been going on.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because when I went to that appointment, I pulled out my Leo app to show her my medications and repeat my
Really?
medications back to her. Yeah, because it made it a ton easier. I didn't have to write down a list. And I always usually have to write down a paper list. And this time I just got to pull out my phone and it was right there and it was made it like a million times simpler.
It
Uh
makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, so I love Leo. Leo has helped me so much. Like, and I'm just finding more and more ways that it's just helping me.
It's honestly so fun building it as people recommend new things that they need because it's exactly like the reports feature started because somebody asked me, they're like, "Hey, I'm going to my doctor. How do I give them the information from Leo?" And I was like, "Well, let's work on that together. Let's build it out."
Yeah.
So, you know, over time, your list of diagnoses has grown. Today, you're living with bipolar 1 disorder, lupus, hypermobile EDS, Hashimoto's disease, PCOS, fibromyalgia, and more. What has that journey been like?
It's been chaotic. It's been hard. It's been long. I feel like, especially here in Oklahoma, the healthcare isn't up that great. It's really hard to find a doctor who will listen here and wouldn't blame it on anxiety or me not wanting to go to school. I was a weird kid. I liked going to school. I wanted to go learn. I was a big nerd. So it was very difficult having all these people dismiss what was really happening in my body. But now having these diagnoses later, it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy, which can be relieving and overwhelming at the
It's
same
so
time.
scary, too. I mean, because you're like, at the same time as wondering what's going on, you're worrying then, what is the doctor thinking of me? And we don't need that extra stress on top of us while we're already dealing with our chronic illnesses.
And I had doctors straight up, like when I was a kid, be like, sweetheart, you don't have to keep faking this. Like, we know that you're just don't want to go to school, and that's fine. No kid wants to go to school. And it's like, it was never that. And I wish I could go back to those doctors and like give them proof and be like, look, I wasn't crazy and you gaslit me and you need to believe kids. I feel like there's this big issue. Now that I'm an adult, people believe me, which has been like this magical phenomenon. But when I was a teen and when I was a kid, it like went over people's head that I could have a chronic illness or become disabled at such a young age. And people were just dismissing my real life experiences. It frustrates me that it happens to so many people. I think that's what frustrates me the most, not necessarily that I went through it, but that there's so many people that it happens to. And it's like, we need to be considerate of those who are saying that they're in pain.
We need to believe people.
Yeah, it's not that hard to believe people, and it may be something rare. You never know. Because, like, for years, people have been saying, oh, you have an autoimmune disease. I just don't know what it is. And then recently, I've been diagnosed with lupus. And it's
So that
like,
must have been validating to
it was
finally
so
be
validating
diagnosed.
because for so long, I was told, I don't know. And that can be also so invalidating when doctors don't know. And then it just makes you feel like, well, is there even something really wrong with me? You can question yourself, which I questioned myself a lot, like made myself feel really, really bad because of these situations that I was in, which shouldn't been situations that should have been in and things that doctors shouldn't have said, especially to a child.
Now, living with multiple chronic conditions means every day can look different. What does a good day look like for you?
A good day probably looks like I can eat normally without getting sick, probably working on some nails and probably doing my eyelashes. I love doing my eyelashes. I love doing little self-care things.
I
On
was
a
about to
good
say
day,
self care is so
I
important.
really try to it's so important. And I think sometimes we all kind of forget about like the little things of self-care, especially when you're sick because all you're doing is caring for your chronic illness all the time because that's a 24/7 thing that you have to do. Like, there's no telling what your chronic conditions are going to throw at you on a day-to-day basis.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me was something you wrote. You said you've always wanted to be the person you needed when you were younger, and I absolutely love that. Can you tell us more about what that means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I started making content, it was originally because when I was younger, I saw nobody like me. There was nobody sick, there was nobody I mean, I had literally nobody to relate to. I joined support groups online and things like that, but all these people were so much older than me, and it didn't really feel like I was having the support that I truly needed. And I think it's super important for me now, and it kind of heals a part of like little me that I can be somebody who shares realness of being chronically ill and disabled and not just being positive all the time. I feel like we have a lot of pressure as chronically ill and disabled people to be like, it's okay, like, I'm fine. Like, don't worry about me. And like, try to be an inspiration. But sometimes not everything is going to be inspirational. Sometimes things are going to be hard and difficult. And those times are just as important to acknowledge as my good days, especially online. I think because there's so many people online too that I see that make content similar to me that it's like, wow, like I can see myself in you. And that's what I want for my content, especially if you are younger, because I try to keep my content to where, like, if you are a teen, like, you can watch my content and it not be a bad thing. I try to keep my content very real and honest as much as I possibly can without overstepping my boundaries as showing parts of my life that I don't want to show.
Think it's so amazing what you're doing. It's honestly been so cool to watch your account grow and your content continue to develop and to see you find your voice on TikTok and be able to share it with others.
I truly love it, and I truly love all the people that comment and follow me and all my mutuals who I hope are watching this. Um, cause I really do, I love it. I mean, it just heals a part of me, really,
Now, you actually
honestly.
started creating content way back in the Musically and the Vine days. Did you ever imagine that you'd be sharing your story years later on TikTok?
Not necessarily my story. I probably would have thought I would probably still be making silly videos, but now I feel like the silly videos are also chronically ill videos, which I think are super important too. Like, it's good for us to be silly and get a good laugh.
Absolutely. Now, one of your diagnoses is bipolar 1 disorder,
Mhm.
and there's still so much misunderstanding surrounding bipolar disorder. From your perspective, what's something you wish people understood?
I am human. I am not my emotions. I am not my depressive or my manic episodes. I am not the stigma that you see online. I am not the characters that you see portrayed on TV always. Sometimes those characters that they're portraying bipolar, they're not. It makes it fuels the stigma, if you know what I mean. And I just wish people knew that, like, I'm human and it's not like I chose this. I feel like when I got diagnosed with bipolar because of the stigma, I felt very negatively about myself. And I really had to sit with myself and be like, okay, but you're not the stigma. But you're not this. But you're not that. But you're not
Your diagnosis.
exactly, exactly. And just be like, I have big emotions. I have episodes. And honestly, I think it's kind of beautiful that I have big emotions sometimes because I feel so deeply. And I think that's something that people should acknowledge as well is that I not only feel sad and happy harder or whatever, mania or depression, I feel love very deeply. I feel empathy very deeply. And it's not just this. It's so much more. And it's so much more than just mood swings and stuff like that. Like, there's so much more to it. If people, I think, would just sit and talk to people about their experience with bipolar, or even actually do actual research online into bipolar from like resources that are reliable, I think it would change a lot of the stigma that continues to grow around like bipolar disorder and other mental illnesses.
Love how you're able to rephrase the diagnosis as something that has its positive aspects to it. I think that's truly beautiful to be able to take something like that and be like, it allows me to feel more. It lets me, you know, empathize more.
Yeah.
I think it's really amazing.
Well, it's true. I feel so deeply. And when I say that I care and when I say that I love, I mean it with like every ounce within me. Like because I feel so deeply, which I think is beautiful. I think that it's beautiful to feel deeply. And it should be considered beautiful to feel deeply and not like just because I'm feeling deeply and I may be sad over something doesn't mean I'm overdramatic or something like that. It just means that I'm feeling things, and feeling things is fine. Feeling things is human, it's natural. And yeah, sometimes bipolar disorder sucks, but it also has taught me so many things being bipolar.
Now, has sharing your story online helped you to process your own journey too?
Oh, yeah. I talk about it in therapy too. Because my therapist is always like, we don't want to overdo ourselves even when we're doing content. Like, wants to make sure that it's good for my mental health. And it has been good for my mental health. Sharing things and finding community and finding people and finding these online people that I've known for years now even has been something so incredible and has let me find a lot of community, which I think is very beautiful.
And you're only 21 and you've impacted so many people already. What are you most excited about for the future?
Honestly, I want to get more involved in doing things in my community. I want to keep growing and I want to keep helping people and helping people feel not alone because it's so easy to feel lonely, especially when you're chronically ill or have some sort of mental illness. It's so easy to just be like, I'm the only one going through this, I'm alone. And I just don't want people to feel like that. It's just something in me just really wants to continue to do it and continue to grow. And however that may be, I mean, I've always said, even if I help just one person or one person gets anything good out of it, any video of mine or my page or whatever, that is worth it for me. That is enough for me. Like, I just want to make sure that people feel validated and heard and like they're not alone, truthfully.
You're definitely making amazing progress on that.
Thank you.
Now, before we wrap up, if you could sit down with your younger self, what's one thing you'd want to tell her?
Probably you're not alone anymore. And you have community. And there are people out there eventually that are going to see you for the potential that you have.
Finally, we ask every guest the same question. Complete this sentence, please. I hope somebody listening today remembers that.
You're not alone and you're worth something
So
for sure.
very true,
Yeah.
and a beautiful message to end with. Hailey, thank you so much for joining us today. One thing I loved about today's conversation is that it wasn't just about diagnoses, it was about connection. You remind people that even on the hardest days, they're not facing them alone, and that's incredibly powerful. Thank you for trusting us with your story, and thank you to everyone listening. If today's conversation resonated with you, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you'd like to share your own story on the Leo Lounge someday, we'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time on the Leo Lounge.